I don't know. I haven't really been following it too much. I just wish her well, frankly.
Wait, why would the President of the United States wish well for a known predator and trafficker of thousands of children? Well, we're going to answer that question in this video, as well as talking about the latest geopolitical relations between China and the United States that are literally up in flames, as well as how during this chaos in 2020, the super rich are only becoming more richer. Yes, a lot of very important things to talk about today. We're also seeing the resurgence of gold and silver, which, not to toot my own horn here as I toot my own horn, I was telling you weeks and months ago that it would be a good time to diversify into physical assets like precious metals, gold and silver specifically. So yeah, you're welcome if you listened to our advice. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Zukradowski of WeAreChange.org, and we're going to be talking about that plus a lot more on this independent media channel that is also now partly supported by you guys simply using the internet. Yes, without spending a dime, without even investing anything, without even having to put any private information down, you could download a privacy crypto-backed browser that, in my opinion, is better than Chrome and Mozilla Firefox. It will save you a lot of time, a lot of bandwidth, and at the same time earn you cryptocurrencies, which if you use our specific link, we get a small commission if you actually use the Brave browser for over 30 days. You get rewarded cryptocurrencies, which you could choose to donate to your favorite independent media organization that is getting screwed over by the big tech monopolies, or you could decide to keep them themselves. Regardless, the link to our referral link is down in the description below, and if you haven't done this already, I don't know what you're thinking, because seriously, having another layer of security, some cryptocurrencies, all the while saving you a bunch of time in 2020 is something that I would definitely recommend as well. So yeah, check out the referral link down below. Again, doesn't cost you anything. This is a win-win for everyone, and if you haven't done it yet, I don't know why you haven't. Now, just jumping into the main story, Donald Trump's latest comments are definitely leaving a lot of people bewildered. Twice, U.S. President Donald Trump wished someone that he was photographed many times with, Ghislaine Maxwell, well, while he also said that he's not really familiar with the situation, which is honestly hard to believe.
How do you see that working out?
I don't know. I haven't really been following it too much. I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, and I guess they lived in Palm Beach. But I wish her well, whatever it is. I don't know the situation with Prince Andrew. Just don't know. Not aware of it.
And that statement is a little hard to believe, but we also have to understand we're dealing with Donald Trump here, who previously said that he didn't know who Prince Andrew was. Someone, again, that he was photographed many times with, had been assigned Prince Andrew his diplomatic envoy, who he's been golfing with many times, and who he called, quote, a lot of fun previously before. You know, the same Prince Andrew that, according to many witnesses and a lot of evidence, is on tape with children doing unspeakable things. Now, for me, the whole Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell saga should never be politicized, since, of course, these professional, most likely intelligence-connected extortionists had friends on both the left and right, were connected to very prominent people in the left wing and right wing of our political system, which should tell you a lot. But with these latest comments, a lot of people are making up their own interpretation of them, and this is why I specifically wanted to talk about Donald Trump's background here regarding this specific case, because the information here is important to understand some of the larger context to what he actually meant. Now, a lot of people are assuming that with these latest statements, Donald Trump is hinting at a, quote, quid pro quo, so Ghislaine doesn't speak out about the powerful people that, of course, she's connected to in very illegal, illicit actions. Others are interpreting these comments as a way of Donald Trump signaling that he wants Ghislaine alive so she could speak out against Bill Clinton. Of course, a lot of interpretation is, of course, being expressed here, but when we look at the relationship with Donald Trump to this specific case, he was friends and did party with Jeffrey Epstein. The two allegedly had a real estate dispute which set them against each other, a real estate dispute that Donald Trump profited off of, while Jeffrey Epstein was allegedly left scorned and angry at. There's also rumors of Donald Trump kicking out Jeffrey Epstein from his own resort because of Epstein's illicit actions against minors there, but I have not been able to verify that claim with any evidence. But the most important part here that we should understand was that it was Donald Trump that was one of the few powerful people that actually responded to a lawyer of the victims of Jeffrey Epstein and spoke out and helped in the legal cases against Jeffrey Epstein. That has been confirmed, and that is some important context that does need to be understood here, especially with other high-profile political figures that haven't cooperated with the court cases against Jeffrey Epstein. Now, what happened when Donald Trump and Epstein and Ghislaine were partying? Well, we still don't know. Donald Trump has brought up the fact that Bill Clinton had a close relationship to Jeffrey Epstein, and I think the one constant, the one well-known fact here is that still we, the people, don't know enough. There is a lot of information shrouded in mystery that should be made public, and that's why I've been urging for a lot of public pressure surrounding this case for transparency and accountability. I do believe Trump's comments about not knowing much about this case is untrue. Now, some people would point to some of the body language expressed during the statement, but also we have to understand here that the Ghislaine Maxwell story was a national news story that, of course, the world knows about, and for Donald Trump to say that he doesn't know much about it, I mean, that's just unconceivable, to be completely honest with you. And when he wished her well, I do believe, I think there's a possibility that that was sincere. The two do go back, and we are still left with a lot of mystery to exactly what happened here, and I think there should be more questions for Donald Trump so we could actually find out what he knows. It will be interesting to see if he takes more of an Alan Dershowitz approach towards this situation, who says that she is completely innocent, or the opposite of that, where many victims pinpoint her being an absolutely cruel, evil human being that did unspeakable things. Either way, we're going to find out more information as this case goes on, as we're also getting preliminary information that some of our testimony might be released to the general public, something, of course, that we're going to be keeping a very close eye on. Just as we documented in yesterday's video, this entire case and saga involves high-level blackmail, private for hire intelligence agency like Kroll and Black Cube with ties to the US and Israeli government. The time for secrecy is over, and we need some truth, and the only way to get that is by putting more public pressure and calls for transparency surrounding this case. And whether it's Donald Trump or Bill Clinton, it doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter. What should is the thousands of children that were hurt here and will never heal from those wounds ever again. So yeah, that's a very important story for me, and it should be for other people. In other news today, we of course have the latest developments on the relationship between China and the United States that are literally up in flames, as the video you're seeing right now is Chinese diplomats in Houston burning their documents after the U.S. State Department ordered the immediate closure of the Beijing consulate. The United States government officially did this to, quote, protect American intellectual property. U.S. firefighters responded to the scene of the fire, but they were not permitted to enter the Chinese consulate, which some U.S. government officials have claimed is a, quote, massive spy center. And as we know, there has been a lot of economic espionage, stealing of intellectual property, and cyber warfare happening between China and the United States. There's no denying that. But more importantly, this action signals more of a deterioration of relationships between these two superpowers that are facing a tedious trap. Now, China is saying that they are furious over this, quote, abrupt action by the United States against its consulate. They are threatening retaliation, and also, as we've been documenting for a number of years now, amassing their military necessary to be on par with the United States. This is, of course, one of the reasons we've been telling people to be prepared to try to be as self-sustainable as they can in 2020, because this is one of the variables that does have a lot at stake. This is also one of the main reasons why I'm in the country land right now, learning how to farm and build stuff. Plus, it's also way better than the crap hole in New York City that I came from. But anyway, another thing to note are also U.S. government sanctions that were just imposed against Chinese officials and their companies who are linked to the Uyghur abuses that have been happening in China. Again, 11 Chinese firms were blacklisted, and some of the circumstantial evidence that we are seeing surrounding the Uyghurs in China is absolutely horrifying. It's scary. It's as if history is just repeating itself, and it only becomes more scarier when you learn and see that most of the U.S. companies in the United States, as well as many multinational corporations that are very significant here in the United States, are absolutely turning a blind eye to it. That, along with Hollywood, some mainstream media companies, all, of course, that are dependent on China for a little bit of money. As we know, China is mainly dependent on its slave labor force ever since, of course, U.S., quote, diplomat, you should call him a bloodthirsty satanic warmonger, Henry Kissinger, created the Open China policy, where he took American jobs and gave them to Chinese slaves for the Chinese totalitarian government to profit off and benefit the multinational corporations and special interests that his buddy David Rockefeller had, enriching them to grand proportions as we're left with made-in-China slave-made crap goods, with the evisceration and destruction of the lower and middle class. And that is continuing as we have a new report talking about how some of the richest people in the world are only getting richer through the chaos that is ensuing in 2020. One of them, of course, is Jeff Bezos, that just in one day, enriched himself to the tune of $13 billion. That, of course, is a record that hasn't been brought before, that actually was criticized on Fox News by TV show host Tucker Carlson, that actually addressed this matter in a very fair and accurate way. Only to have his stooge, I meant counterpart, Sean Hannity, respond on a very idiotic comment about capitalism, which left Tucker Carlson and the viewing audience dumbstruck. Since, of course, many of the multinational corporations, including Jeff Bezos's companies like Amazon, enriched themselves mainly because of government assistance. A lot of these billionaires depend on socialistic government policies that bails out the super rich while screwing over everyone else. Why the billionaires are becoming richer than ever has nothing to do with capitalism and has everything to do with a crooked system with the U.S. Federal Reserve that is literally right now conducting one of the largest transfers of wealth in recorded human history. This is why the rich are becoming richer. Independent media that even voices concerns about this gets totally scroogled and censored, as of course the mainstream dummies are able to spew whatever garbage and crap they can, like Sean Hannity talking about how great this is. Also, in other news, gold and silver, by the way, surged pretty high. This is, of course, as the major economic calamities from this transfer of wealth, from everyone being screwed over, the ramifications of are coming very soon. They will be swift, they will be vast, they will be significant. You should prepare accordingly, especially financially, for the larger storm coming soon. Again, a lot of idiocy and ignorance out there. Censorship should never be the answer, as of course is being used politically as a way to stop and crush any legitimate dissent, conversation, or truth from coming out that will actually help and benefit the people. This is why we're here. This is why we're dependent on your help. And whether if it's sharing this video or using the Brave browser, I would not be here if it wasn't for you. And this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.